Have you ever felt totally stuck trying to learn a new language? Or maybe you've wondered why some ways of teaching just click while others totally fall flat? Well, it turns out there's a hidden architecture to mastering a language, and today we're going to pull back the curtain on its 4 foundational pillars. So let's just start with the big question, right? How do we really go from knowing a few words to actually having a real flowing conversation? Is it just about cramming our brains with flashcards and vocabulary lists, or is there something deeper, a kind of blueprint for fluency that most of us just don't even know exists? Well, the answer is a huge yes. There is a blueprint, and it's all about building on 4 foundational pillars. Seriously, think of them like building blocks. You wouldn't try to build a house without a solid foundation, right? It's exactly the same with language. And this is where our source material really shines. It points to a very specific, totally natural order for learning that actually mirrors how every single one of us learned our first language as kids. It goes listening first, then speaking, then reading, and finally writing. The real secret isn't just knowing these 4 skills exist. It's understanding that this sequence, LSRW, is like a natural pathway for your brain. Now here's where it gets really interesting. These 4 skills are basically split into 2 different teams. On one side, you have your input skills. The official term is receptive skills, and that's your listening and reading. It's all the language you're taking in. And on the other side, you've got your output skills, or productive skills. That's speaking and writing, the language you create. And the golden rule is so simple. You can't produce what you haven't first taken in. So it only makes sense that we start with the very first receptive skill, the absolute foundation of it all, listening. This is ground zero. And our source makes a super important point here. Listening is not the same as just hearing. Hearing is passive. Listening is an active process of giving importance to the words. Think about that for a second. Great listening is the engine that directly powers your own pronunciation and speaking. It's not passive at all. And just think about how you listen during your own day. It's never just one way. Sometimes it's totally interactive, a regular back and forth chat. Sometimes it's kinda interactive, like when you're listening to a speaker but might get to ask a question at the end. And a lot of the time, it's completely non-interactive, kinda like what you're doing right now, listening to me. Each one of those situations needs a different kind of focus from you. And this is where you see that listening is secretly a massive mental workout. Your brain isn't just passively absorbing words, it's actively juggling all these little micro skills at once. It's catching the rhythm and the stress to figure out emotion, it's holding on to phrases in its short-term memory, and it's trying to guess the meaning of a new word from all the clues around it. It's honestly an incredible thing your brain is doing. Okay, so once your brain has soaked up all that input, what's the natural next step? Well, it's to start producing your own language. And that brings us to our second pillar and our very first productive skill, speaking. Now, speaking seems easy enough, right? You just talk. But, as our source points out, it is way more complicated than it looks on the surface. It's this complex dance happening between your brain, your mouth, and all the hidden rules of that language. And these micro skills prove that it's about so much more than just saying words correctly. It's about using the music of the language, the rhythm, the stress, the intonation, so you don't sound like a robot. It's about picking just the right words and putting them in an order that makes your main point pop. Just think about it. In any given conversation, you are managing clear pronunciation, correct grammar, and the right vocabulary, while also adjusting your tone based on whether you're talking to a friend or your boss. So good speaking isn't just talking. It's this amazing performance that requires some serious mental coordination. All right, so we've covered the world of sound. Now let's switch gears to the visual world. Our next pillar is the second receptive skill, reading. This is how we learn to decode all those little symbols on a page and unlock a whole new universe of knowledge. And the source material is not subtle about how important this is. It says beautifully and directly, without being able to read, a human being is deprived of gaining knowledge. Wow. I mean, that's it right there. It is the master key that unlocks pretty much all of recorded human ideas, stories, and history. And just like listening, reading is a super active process. Yeah, it starts with just deciphering the script, connecting these weird shapes to sounds. But it quickly levels up to recognizing words, spotting keywords to get the gist of something, and, this is a big one, adjusting how you read. You don't read a text from a friend the same way you read a dense textbook.
And that brings us to our fourth and final pillar. This is the one that really builds on all the others, and let's be honest, it's often the toughest one to master. It's the pinnacle productive skill, writing.
Writing is so much more than just putting letters on a page. The source defines it as the structured presentation of thought. I absolutely love that. It's basically thinking made visible.
And the reason we write is just huge. I mean, it can be super practical, like just answering a question on a test. Or it can be incredibly deep, letting us share complex emotions, or even create entire worlds in books. But whatever the reason, it always boils down to one core thing: organizing your ideas so that someone else can clearly understand them.
The technical side of writing is demanding, for sure. You're juggling spelling, punctuation, grammar, vocabulary, all at the same time. But those are just the tools. The real skill, the ultimate prize, is coherence. Making sure all those little pieces work together to build something that's clear, logical, and just makes sense. Okay, so to bring this all together, our source material has a little puzzle for us. It describes a process. You brainstorm some ideas, you organize them, you write a first draft, and then you edit and revise it. Which of our 4 skills are we talking about here?
Well, the obvious answer is writing, of course. But, and this is maybe the biggest takeaway from this whole thing, think about it. You can't brainstorm ideas you haven't first listened to or read about. You can't write a sentence that flows if you don't know how it's supposed to sound. Writing isn't just the last block you put on top, it's the final piece that gets all of its strength from the other pillars holding it up.
And that's the final truth. Mastering a language isn't some ladder you climb just once and you're done. It's a powerful, continuous cycle. Getting better at listening makes you a better speaker. Getting better at reading makes you a better writer. And better writing actually clarifies your thinking for everything else. They all feed into each other. So the only real question left is, for you, whether you're the one learning or the one teaching, which part of this cycle are you going to focus on and strengthen next?